I'm Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power, and coming up next on WAYO LP Rochester's The Sound of Tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about how Ross went on vacation. We've got a little update type thingamaboppy about something I've been doing that Ross doesn't know about that I said I was going to tell him about on the show. Can you tell I didn't sleep well at all last night? And we're going to be maybe talking about a little bit of health news because we've got that too. We'll see. We might run out of time. You never know on The Sound of Tomorrow. But first,
OMGP, this is going to be the best Women's History Month ever.
cool, but isn't it like half over?
Whatever. I was on vacation. Stop persecuting me.
Okay.
So here's what I'm thinking.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it because I had some ideas too.
Okay, yeah, that's great, sweetie, but I am talking now.
Oh, yeah, I did kind of interrupt. So go ahead.
So anyway, what if we did like a weekly profile of the most important women's in history?
I mean, that was actually mentioned in the email I sent you 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I received no such email.
The one titled Things to Do for Women's History Month?
Nope.
Because you responded.
Unlikely.
No, you did. You said my ideas were cute.
And whenever you're
No.
ready. But not while I'm talking, because I'm talking. So, I'm just going to talk over you and then it'll be fine.
Uh-huh.
All right.
That'll
I'll shut up now. Shutting up now.
No, you did. You said my ideas were cute. Oh my God, again? Did you lose me again?
It broke up. You're very staticky. I don't know. Try it again. You sound okay now. But it was sort of staticky again.
Okay. No, you did. You said my ideas were cute.
And I am sure they were. Anyway, most important women in history. See, I'm thinking, like some of the real unsung figures from across the scope of the human experience.
I like it. So, did you look at the list of suggestions I sent?
Oh, sweetie, did you have a little list of ladies to mention? Adorbs. You're so cute.
Okay. But yes.
Okay, and why don't you tell us who made your cut? This is so cute. I love it.
Well, I tried to mix things up. Let's see. Off the top of my head, Nobel Peace Prize winner Wangari Maathai, trans and queer activist Marsha P. Johnson, Crimean War nurse and businesswoman Mary Seacole, and then way back to people like Empress Zenobia of Palmyra, who took on the Roman Empire, and Pharaoh Nefertiti of Egypt.
Who?
Which one?
Any of them.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? To raise awareness while also acknowledging that nobody ever needs a list of men from history because we're always taught to rattle them off by the dozens. It's all about learning.
Okay, yawn. That's nice. No, it's really nice. Don't get me wrong. It's sweet. It's nice. It's cute. It's cute. I love it. I love what you're trying to do, but I don't think you're getting it.
Once again, my idea.
Okay, we're talking about important women. Really important women.
But, okay, who's on your list?
Okay, here goes. Let's see. Just off the top of my head, I don't have it right in front of me, my list, but I guess number one would be Lizzo.
Lizzo?
What, you don't like Lizzo?
Oh, I love Lizzo. Hers just isn't the first name that comes to mind when I think of important women in history.
Okay, well, that's the point, isn't it? To raise awareness.
Okay, well, who else?
Okay, so I guess pop superstar Celine Dion would be next. You know,
Again,
right?
fabulous, but
But what?
nothing. Who else?
Okay, so then I guess I would do Solange Knowles. You know,
Um,
I know everybody always goes with Beyonce, but I wanted to shine a spotlight on her slightly lesser known, but just as talented and fabulous sister. What? Why are you looking at me that way?
it's just that your list seems to lack a little bit of variety, I guess would be the word. They're all modern pop stars.
Oh, well, I mean, you didn't let me finish. Of course, that's not all.
Oh, of course.
There's also Laura Dern, you know?
Laura Dern,
Yes, Laura Dern.
also great.
See, we agree. My list is superior.
Don't you just feel like it might be better if a female identified type person took the lead on this?
Wait, like who? Like who would do that? You mean like you? Yeah, are you talking about you? You lead a discussion of important women's history? You barely even know who Solange is.
That is not true. She most definitely did a duet with Kevin Barnes from Above Montreal. I'm very familiar with her work. But I'm just not sure she's yet up there with like Sylvie Rivera. Yet! There's room for all these powerful queens, but maybe just some that aren't modern pop icons.
Okay, whatever. I still say that if there's one person here who should get to say who we talk about and what we talk about for Women's History Month, it is clearly, 100%, all day, all night, me.
This white male identified person is going to have the only say? How novel.
Now you're getting it.
You're the worst intern I've ever had.
I want a raise. Can I get a raise?
Don't you try to ding my Solange Knowles cred. How dare you?
the one person you know. I just happened to hit upon the one person you know.
Hey, if they've done a duet with Of Montreal, then I know who they are.
Sorry, I forgot about the one. I forgot about your one pop culture entry point, and I just hit on it. Hello, everybody. I'm Ross Johnson, your favorite co-host.
And I'm Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power. Welcome back to The Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO LP Rochester. I'm so excited. Like I said last week, Ross and I are back with our blathery thing. It's what everybody waits for, Ross.
Yes, and we're totally going to blather. There is so much going on in the world. And while I was gone, I had so many notes and things about, like, we're going to talk about this. There's a new abortion bill in Ukraine, and there's a thing, and there's more book banning, and there's all this stuff, terrible. And J.K. Rowling is back on her nonsense. Not that she ever got off her nonsense. There were just so many things going on. And then I was just like, you know what? Let's just... And today, then it was literally like today that I was like, let's just talk about my vacation because it's too much. It's too much. I do have.
It is way too much. Yeah.
Really quick, as a little appetizer, as a little amuse-bouche, if you will.
I'm starving.
I always like to amuse your bouche before we start anything.
Ooh.
I think we should do a quick. It's been a while since we've had what we have called in the past, building suspense here, an unshelved mystery.
Ooh.
Remember, that's the sound. That's the sound where, because we blow the dust, we pull it off the shelf, and we blow the dust off of it. Heather, did you hear about this? They found the Endurance.
No, I didn't hear about it. Tell me.
Okay, you don't know anything. So.
No.
What's the time frame here? I don't have these facts and details. So, this was.
You don't know anything either.
Right. So,
you say it like I'm the only
1915, Ernest Shackleton and a bunch of boys that he was hanging out with, famous explorer, set out to explore Antarctica. This was a big deal. They had just really just found Antarctica. So this was a huge deal at the time. And they had a ship, and they were like, okay, we're going to go on the ship. And it, it's sort of a, in a boys adventure type of story genre, it's sort of like not the worst one. Cause it truly is kind of a, this adventurous, we're going for science, we're going to learn the stuff. And then, but it went so wrong through like nobody's fault really, just because they were going to Antarctica, and that's like a place that you should never go, probably. I would just think is the way. So they set off in their ship Endurance, and then they go to this area called the Weddell Sea, which is this little sort of cut. If you're looking at a map of Antarctica, it's sort of this little cutout. They set off from an island called South Georgia, which has no relation that I'm aware of to the country of Georgia, nor the state of Georgia. It's just a little island called South Georgia. They set off and they headed for this Weddell Sea, and they were hoping to like sort of skirt around the edge of it because it's a little like sort of bowl cutout shape where the ice can build up in the middle. So they were hoping to sail along the side. Didn't work. The ship got stuck, and they were there for. This is absurd. So they got stuck there for 10 months.
Oh
Not
my
like
gosh.
a week. The ship didn't move. The ship was stuck. They couldn't really stay on the ship because the ship was growing increasingly unstable as it was like being squeezed by the ice. So they were like camping on ice basically for 10 months. And then after 10 months, the ship went down. Oh my God, so cold, right? Just the worst thing you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, it's just awful. Oh, remind me to never go adventuring.
Correct. Unless it's to like, I don't know, I was going to say someplace warm, but then warm places have snakes, so you don't want to do that either.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And spiders.
the ship, and the people on, I guess what's kept it alive a little bit is not just the story, but they also like they had video cameras, they had tape. So there's video of the ship like the day before it sank. There are pictures of the ship sinking. So it's sort of a weird border between like really old timey and sort of
Okay.
I mean, you look at the ship and it looks like an old timey like wooden sailing ship, which is kind of what it was, but it's 1915, so it's not World War I's going on. It's not entirely it's not ancient times. So they made it to like an island that was like on the way back to where they had come from, and then the Shackleton and like 5 other of the guys set off in like an open boat, like basically like an escape, like a rowboat to get back to the island, crossing the ocean basically to get back to this island. And then they wound up, the south side of the island is not where they wanted to go. So they had to like hike over the island. So it's quite a story. It is quite a story. And almost all but I think of I want to say, and I don't have it right in front of me, but I want to say of like the 29, 30 people in the crew, something like that, like 3 people wound up dying, which is, not great if you're one of those 3 people, but that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good.
I mean, considering I thought the end of the story would be like, and they all died.
Right.
Every last one of them.
I think that's why it's kind of like,
I mean, I'm sure they did eventually.
Yeah, I think they're all dead now, but so it's just like it's an interesting story, you know what I mean? And the fact that they survived makes it a little more interesting in that it's sort of unique. But people have been looking for the ship.
And it's not a complete and total tragedy.
Right, exactly. And some heroism in the fact that like, especially at the end, I mean, just surviving, but then at the end to have like 5 guys get on a rowboat and like cross the ocean to get to this tiny island to get help. So it's a cool thing. So this is tangential, but there's like a podcast network called History Hit that's run by this British guy named Dan Snow that I like. Like I listen to a lot of their shows. They have a streaming service that I watch their documentaries and stuff. So people have been looking for this boat for a century, right? Like they want to know like where's the Endurance? And especially since like you sort of have videotape of it pretty much sinking. It's very much been alive in people's imaginations as one of those like shipwrecks that people would like to find. Probably like after the Titanic, I mean, probably like sort of the number 1 boat that people would want to find, right?
Wow.
And they've been, so this So there's been the Falklands has had a team out there looking, as happens sporadically. Like we talk about these stories, you know, like, oh, so and so's looking for Amelia Earhart, or they're looking for blah blah blah, they're looking for this,
Right.
and sort of 9 times out of 10, it's just like, oh well, that was interesting, but womp womp, maybe next time. So listening, so I've been listening to the podcast people where they've had people on the boat that's searching for the thing, and you think like, oh, this is interesting, but this is gonna be one of those wah wah things. But no, they found it. Like they found it.
Wow.
They found it like perfectly preserved at the bottom of the ocean. I mean, at the bottom of the I guess technically the sea, but it's sort of part of. I mean, it's it's a little cutout of the ocean, but sort of perfectly. I mean, like the pictures they have it's like, it looks like the ship in the pictures from the thing. I mean, it's not
Wow.
damaged. I mean, Titanic, like parts of it look like Titanic and parts of it, and those are the parts they show you, and other parts are just kind of rubble. This just looks like a boat that just went down. So it's interesting. And they found a crab.
Wow. You know what? Okay, so I opened an article about this crab.
Okay.
I'm aware of the crab who can live in very cold water.
Yeah, and they're it's very preliminary with that because they've only seen like a couple pictures of this crab, but there's like a crab on the boat in a place where they would thought, and they don't know exactly what kind of crab it is, but it's a place where they wouldn't have thought that there would be crabs because it's cold, it's high pressure, there's maybe not enough life for a crab to feed on, but everybody seems to be perfectly happy on this boat. So cool thing.
Very cool. Do you think that there's a big chest of treasure on this ship?
I have a feeling that if people were like living off this boat for 10 months, they probably didn't leave much. So
well, they couldn't eat the treasure.
I would love to think. Well, that's true. Maybe there's a big thing of treasure.
Right,
do you think you could get down there fast
they're
enough
not
to
going
get
to
it?
fill your belly.
Doubloons.
Me, no. It's too cold.
Right? World War I era English doubloons. Definitely.
Doubloons and chalices.
There were
and
definitely
ropes of gold chain.
Sure. What if there were? That would be a new mystery. That would be very confusing, actually.
I thought every shipwreck had one.
Because it's sort of funny. There is like a book to be written because there's more than one, particularly from like before they found the Titanic. But even after, there's more than one like cheesy novel or like like low budget like B movie about like and on the Titanic, when they find the Titanic, they're gonna they'll find the treasure or the secret diamond that is not, or even the Titanic movie was that stupid thing. So this is a common story. I don't know that it ever happens in real life that they find the treasure, but it's nice to think about.
Yeah, I love to think about it. That's my favorite part.
For me.
I guess, if nothing else, though, that crab is probably the buried
For
treasure.
me, that crab is a treasure. Yeah. I'm happy enough for that crab.
Absolutely. So cute. Even your dogs are happy for the crab.
I want them to shut up right now. They're not going to shut up, though.
I think that people at home and in their cars like to hear them. So, Ross,
yeah,
I need to thank you.
I think they're barking at my new scale. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yes, by all means.
Oh, you
don't
got
let
a
me
new
interrupt
scale
you thanking
barking
me.
at it? I know.
I think
you were away.
Mike ordered a new scale, so.
Huh? Why are they barking at it?
Because it's being delivered by a person.
It's new?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got it. All right. For some reason, I thought that this was just placed like in a room on the floor,
no.
And they had decided to go and bark at it.
It's not impossible, but.
I mean, I do have a scale, but Nigel doesn't really pay it any attention unless like I am using it, in which case he wants to be right there by me.
Yeah.
But so while you were off having a fantastic vacation, you might remember for my birthday, you and your awesome husband, announcer Mike, kindly gave me a new pack of tarot cards.
Oh, yes, I do. Actually, I thought this story was going to... I thought the midpoint of this story was going to be me pretending to remember a thing that I got you for your birthday, but I actually do remember that. So okay, sure.
Yeah, because I think you put a lot of care into getting me like a really cool pack with like not just white
Right,
people.
right.
And like it's all like it's cool. It's definitely modern. I think it's called the Modern Witches deck. Um so I'd been thinking like I just had the cards kind of out because they're in a pretty
Okay.
box. And I kept thinking like, all right, well, I am going to learn this. I'm going to start learning tarot. So for the past couple weeks, I have been kind of studying the cards. And it's a lot of fun. It's really interesting.
So studying in terms of like the art or like how to do it or
All of it,
okay.
like trying to memorize what the cards mean, trying to memorize certain layouts, like trying to interpret readings for myself.
Okay.
And so I found a cool website that has this thing. It's like 6-step guide to introduce yourself to the tarot. And so they start off with like one exercise, and I'm on the second exercise because you're supposed to do each one for a
Okay.
week. So I do those. And then there's some other stuff in the little book that came with the deck of cards. And then I got another little book. And so those have things to try. So I'm just, trying like 4 different things a day, which is helping me to finally like cards are starting to come up and I'm like, I know what that one means, kind of, sort of. And so it's really
I
neat.
love
It's
that.
been very fun. And another nice thing is I remember that you and Mike gave me the cards. And it's funny because there's so much about tarot online.
Yeah, of
I
course.
came across this site that was like, some people say, always choose your own deck, never use a gift. Some people say, only ever use a gift, never buy a deck for yourself. And I'm like, all right, that sounds exactly like the rabbit hole that I'm going down on
Right.
this, where it's like, and same thing, like the one I'm learning like a 7 card horseshoe spread. And I found one
Okay.
site where it was like, this means this. Then I found another site where they were like, this means this. And I'm like, oh boy, I think there's a lot of tarot interpretation that involves a person going, here's how I do it.
Yeah. That
But that's all right. I mean, I've got to
that's
learn.
interesting. See, I had definitely heard at one point that like a tarot you should only use a tarot deck that is a gift. So I had heard that version.
Yeah. And I had one that I believe I bought for myself, but I'm using the one that you gave me as a gift. So that's really nice. The thing I need to learn a lot more about is like when I got the last time I got a reading from
Mhm.
someone, the person pulled cards and then was like, okay, well, here's what's going on in your life and here's what you should do about it. Which, when I read for
Mhm.
myself, I can do that easily because I know what's
Right.
going on in my
Right.
life and I understand what the advice card is saying. Like, you know what's going on in your life and you know what you're supposed to do about it. I don't know how she knew to do that for me because it was incredibly accurate.
Probably magic.
Well, it's interesting because I know somebody who
Mhm.
knows her, and that person was like, oh no, she has a gift. She is
Ah,
psychic. And I was like, all right, maybe she wasn't reading the cards. Maybe she was reading me.
yeah, and I think there are people
I
that
don't
more than
know.
more than do that. I don't know if I mean, I don't know if I buy that, but I mean, I respect people who say they can do that. I don't know if I really believe that, but I don't know. I think it's I mean, I think I think there are people who definitely like whatever they're doing, it doesn't have as much to do with the cards, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like I'm really far from being able to read for anybody else yet. I think that that's a definite different thing. But I've been enjoying reading for myself, and I even got out like, I love little rituals and stuff, so I got out a little notebook, and I'm writing down my different draws and experiments for every day.
Oh, very
It's
nice.
fun.
I'm
Keep me
glad
busy.
I'm glad I'm that makes me really happy and then I'm really glad that someday presumably I'd be able to get a tarot card reading for free. So that seems fun too.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
I mean
I mean, if you wanted one, yeah, I'd gladly give you
I
one.
mean for me, like my and I'm not saying I couldn't be convinced otherwise, but my thinking is it's sort of a I mean, I guess the magic and stuff like that for me is sort of like the combining of the moment and the what's going on in your life in terms of it's information that can be interpreted different ways, but then how you interpret it based on your life is
Mhm.
is where the sort of synergy happens, is where the sort of that's where the sort of magic is. Like, okay, you're giving me this information, and was there really a magical psychic thing going on when when you turned over the cards? I don't know, but it definitely there's something in that I can take away if I sort of take that and apply it to my situation. It's just like it's sort of forcing a different perspective on whatever I'm thinking about. So to me, that's where it. But I don't know. What do I know?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it is really uncanny. I won't say which card it was because that is something that's apparently
No.
personal to me, and I don't want to say which it was. But I'd looked at the cards a little bit, but they were all still in order in the
Hmm.
box. I hadn't shuffled them around. So I went to take them out of the box for the very first time, and I thought I saw like a split in the deck. And so I said to myself, oh, there's my card, because I was going to pull one
Oh,
card for
okay.
myself. And I pulled I pulled one card and it was so apt. I was just like, yeah, yep, yep, yep,
Was it the
yep.
beautiful angel card?
No, 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 no,
I
no, it
don't know. Is
wasn't.
there a beautiful angel card? I don't think so, right? Okay.
No,
If there was, that would be
no,
your card, clearly.
no, I mean, it was just so very apt. It was wild.
Interesting. Well, good. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
glad you're again, I'm glad you're getting good at that, and I'm glad that someday I'll get a free tarot reading and I won't have to pay somebody. I mean, unless
Well,
you charge me, which would be a
and
little
yeah,
like
uh,
it'd be a
that
little
would be a
tacky
little
after this
weird.
story, frankly. I mean,
I know, right? But it's really nice, and so I wanted to let you know that I am very much I know it's been a little bit, but I knew the time would come. Now the time is now. I've been enjoying that
oh,
gift
I'm
a
glad.
lot.
Because you get people stuff sometimes, and you're like, oh, I wonder if they'd like this, and like, I don't feel bad. I mean, you know, I don't feel bad. Sometimes it's just people have given me stuff that was like super thoughtful and wonderful, and like it's wound up in a drawer. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. And you're like, that was
I
lovely
know.
and wonderful and thoughtful, and I see what they were trying to do, and it's just not vibing with me. And
Mhm.
I've not made a decision not to have it vibe with
Yeah.
me, but like it's just not. you know?
Yeah.
So I'm glad.
Yeah. It is always nice to know because I've done the same as you. Like I understand like that's such a nice gift. I don't really want it,
yeah.
but it's
Or
so
like I think I
nice.
want it, but then
So
I never
thoughtful.
touch it again, or like never find a
Yeah.
place on the wall for it or whatever.
Yep. But so it's been an awful lot of fun, and those are really pretty cards with good pictures on
Good. It
them.
seemed like, yeah, I was looking at a lot, and that seemed like to be a good I mean, there were there were a lot of interesting, really nice ones, but then like some of them seem sort of like not for beginners. Like it would not be the place to learn to do tarot because the art is so sort of esoteric and like cool and interesting, but not necessarily where you'd want to
Mhm.
start. So
Right. Yeah, and I think that is a thing too, because even the little book that I bought for myself is like introductory absolute beginner tarot for beginners who've never done tarot before. Like it's very,
I
very
like it.
basic. Yeah. But so I was just in my house reading tarot cards. You, however, were having a grand adventure, not to
No,
Antarctica,
certainly not.
but
Oh my gosh.
elsewhere.
Yeah. So
I
so
want to hear
we
about
so
it.
people may remember from 5 years ago, 5 to 6 years ago. um, real, real hardcore SOT fans might remember that Mike and I went on a Star Trek cruise because we're losers, and
You are
no, so
not.
this was we did it at the time, and I know I was sort of like, well, that was fun, that was an adventure, that was an experience, but I don't know if I need to do it again. You know, there was cruise stuff. You've been on a cruise. You were on one cruise, right?
I've
Oh
never been
no,
on
you're
a
not. No, you
cruise.
talked about the Joko cruise.
I have talked about that, and I I'd like to go on that. I don't think I
Okay.
ever will.
Yeah, so it was, and some of the things that I was sort of like, I don't know about this, were a little bit rectified by this one. But anyway, so like 2 years ago, when COVID was just getting started, I think I was at work and Mike texted me and was like, they're doing another one of the Star Trek cruises, and it was scheduled for like, they had canceled the one planned for that year, and then like I think they
Mhm.
or like, or it was the beginning of it was maybe like a March. It was maybe like April or May of the first year of COVID, which was 8 years ago or whatever. And
Right, yes.
then so they had canceled the one that was like the following March, and then it was going to be this one. So anyway, it was almost 2 years away. And he was like, "You want to go on a cruise?" And
Right.
I think it was sort of like a here's a thing that can be paid for over a period of time, and it's far enough away that we can sort of have something to look forward to. It wasn't 1000% like, oh my god, I really want to go on the Star Trek cruise so bad. I think it was as much of a like, here's a thing that is in the future that we could have to look forward to. And of course, by then,
Yeah.
COVID would be 100% gone. And who would 2 years? It's almost 2 years away. What is COVID? We won't even
Right, 2 years, they'd have
remember.
a vaccine. Everybody will have the vaccine in 2
Yeah.
years.
So, um,
Everybody.
but so we had done this before, and it is a lot of like, it's definitely, I don't know. These are the only two cruises I've ever been on in my life, and they're both theme cruises. I get the sense that even as in terms of theme cruises, like these seem particularly well done in terms of, at least in terms of the theme. Like it's not like, oh, we just slapped up some Star Trek stickers or whatever. It's very like, as this one and with the last one, everything top to bottom is like, and it's all licensed from the company too. So it's not like,
Mhm.
I'm jumping ahead to the end of this, but like, I remember this from before. So they had like another theme cruise right after, and this was the first one we did too, and this one. So like, and like the night the cruise was over, like by the time it hit like 9 or 10 o'clock, they're already starting to like strip things down to like, because you're leaving the next morning, so they're like getting ready for the next one. So the following morning you can wander
Right.
around and see, and in this case it was an 80s cruise, which I think was the same as last time, but it's
Wow.
not like there was like, so the bars, all the bars, they had changed to like Star Trek themes or whatever. And they had done the same thing with the 80s thing, but it was like the MVT bar or whatever. And we were sort of laughing at that, because it was like, with the Star Trek theme, it was like, through the company, everything's licensed. You don't have to like, it's not like Captain
Right.
Cork, it's like the real, like, you can have like real pictures and things. Um, so we're wandering around this generic 80s, and then they had like things like the one, like the gift shop they made into like the pawn shop, and I was like, I guess there were pawn shops in the 80s. I don't know. And they had another thing that was like a Subway, and I was like, I guess there were Subways in the 80s. I guess that's technically true. It was sort of,
When I think about the '80s, I don't think about the iconic
this was
pawn
I
shops.
so I'm not casting any shade on the 80s cruise, because I have not been on the 80s cruise, but I'm I guess that's my point of comparison, to say like, this is pretty good. But um so yeah,
Oh, Captain Cork got me pretty
right.
good.
But there's definitely, you've seen stuff like that where it's like, we don't have quite the
Yeah.
licensing for this, but we want to do this thing. Um it's like the Party City version.
Yes.
um so it was a little I will so it was a little weird going in with the COVID thing, right? Like, and I wasn't sure how that was going to work or how I was going to feel about it. We wound up completely wilding almost right off, almost off the bat.
Yeah.
And the reason was, it wasn't entirely just like, oh my god, I want to wild now. I mean, it was a I guess this is not the case with most cruises, but on this one, there was a vaccine requirement. Like, you had to be like, you 100%
Mhm.
had to be vaccinated. You had to be tested um, right before you got on board. So that combination, and the fact that everybody we were talking to were all like, there was one couple we ran into at the beginning where the guy was like, "Oh, I got a vaccine just for this. Why else would I get a vaccine?" And we're like, "Okay, we're not hanging out with you." But everybody else we talked to was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, we've been like, locked in our house for 2 years. We've been, wear a mask to the grocery
Mhm.
store. And plus, like the fact that it was a real nerve-wracking moment because you've got to get this COVID, we had flown down there. You've got to get this COVID test like before you get on
Yeah.
the cruise, which we had travel insurance, but everything was real wiki about what happens if you get COVID. Like it was real, like hard to pin down, like what would
Mm.
happen. So,
Oh,
so you've got all this
no.
money on the line. So not only was everybody vaccinated, not only was everybody getting tested, but I think most people were doing what we had been doing beforehand, which is like, we're going to be real careful for like a couple weeks here because we've got a
Mhm.
lot of money on the line with this, because with like Omicron and whatever,
Right.
transmissibility is up on these things. So short, long story short, it wasn't too long before we were just like, okay, we're sort of in for a penny and for a pound here. And it was fine. I mean, we tested during, we tested after, and everything's come up negative. So I think we're okay. I have not
Great.
heard about anybody. I don't know if the ship would like tell you. I mean, maybe they would have to for
I don't
contact
know
tracing, but
either.
there seems to be like quite a network. I mean, in terms of social media and stuff like that, of people who go on these things over and over again, and people talk, and people have been sort of like, "Oh, has
Mhm.
anybody heard about anybody?" And nobody. I mean, I guess the most I've heard was like one or two people were quarantined because they got sick, and then it turned out they were just sick, just normal sick. So,
Yeah.
so anyway, that was all good. Um, I don't know if I talked about a lot of it was spent. I need to go into the details of like why we decided to get this. We got this like all you can drink package, which is expensive. But it was one of those
Mhm.
things where like either you buy things individually or you buy this thing at a discount, but you have to. So we spent the whole thing. I mean, you probably would have done fine, but we spent this whole thing like we were I mean, it'd be like 10. We're trying to justify what we paid for this all you can drink package. So we'd be up at like 10 in the
Uh-huh.
morning. Like, I need to go get a Bloody Mary because we did not drink enough yesterday to justify what we paid yesterday. So let's go get 4 Bloody Marys and that'll be breakfast. And there was a lot of that.
So you were just drunk and wilding the
No, you
whole
know what is
time.
interesting? So we figured out a couple days in, like, where to go to get the good drinks, but there were a lot of like, you're rare. And I mean, unless you're like in your room or in sort of the staterooms area, you're not out of sight of a bar pretty much ever. I mean, like, it's rare
Wow.
that
So I should
you
go on a
should, you
cruise.
should. It's rare. It is rare that you're sort of, I mean, there are bars there are like physical, like this is a bar areas. And then other places, like there are just like, tables set up with like, like at the like the wedding kind of thing. Um, so we
Okay.
realized a little bit in like where to get the good drinks, but for a while we were just drinking. And somebody else pointed this out too. Like they were like, just keep getting drinks because they're sort of watered down. Um, this one guy was like,
Oh.
we're getting all our hydration by just continually drinking cocktails, like because we're getting like hydrated faster than we're getting drunk. Um, we did figure out eventually, but I mean, so no, I was not that drunk. The one time I was drunk, so um, a couple times I was a little drunk. Sonequa Martin Green is the star of Star Trek Discovery. She's the captain. She's also the producer of the show. And I love her. I think she's wonderful. I don't know. I mean, maybe she's a monster. I always like these days. I always qualify like maybe she's a monster. I don't know, but she doesn't seem like it. And the, the thing. So of course, when you're encountering a powerful woman,
Mhm.
someone who is a television executive as well as a star,
Right.
an act.
Yes.
The thing I think the best thing you can possibly say is to have a few drinks beforehand and go, oh my god, you're so pretty. Which is what I did. And then I went, of course, me being me, I went,
Yeah.
not that that's the most important thing about you. She was she was like, I said, oh my god, you're so pretty. And she was like, thank you, that is so sweet. And I was like, not that that's the most important thing about you. And she goes, no, but thank you, it's still nice to hear. So she was very good. Clearly not her first drunk gay boy rodeo.
Yep. Yep.
So that
That sounds cute, and it's cute that you said that because 'cause I'll admit, like, you might also walk up to a cat
right.
and say, "You're so pretty." So it's
Yeah, it was just
It was
I
good
was
to
carried away in
qualify.
the moment. It was a
Yes,
genuine.
I bet she was
I
tickled.
think she seemed to be, so that was good.
Yeah.
Um, so there was a little bit of that. Um, I don't know. I forget what I was going to say. So there was, um, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was, you know, they do shows every night that are not Star Trek related for the most part with, you know, performers. George Takei did you know, George Takei did a, you know, he did an hour sort of talking about his as you know, we had seen when he was at U of R talking about
Yeah. Yep, we saw
his
that
book and
last
all that.
year.
So there were things like that.
That was
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. So that was fun, you know, and a couple people were like, I've seen George Takei stuff and I've seen this before, but it was still, it's a very moving story and one that's important. You know, I got a chance to sort of thank him for that, and especially like with what we talk about week to week about, you know, you know, book bannings and just sort of rewriting this constant rewriting of
Mhm.
history, like how valuable that is to have someone of his stature and sort of belovedness speak to those
Right.
things. So that was nice.
Wow, that was so nice that you got to, like, talk with him
Yeah,
a
a
little
little bit.
bit.
I mean, we you know, uh, we were like running constantly, and of course I don't know why, and I mean I didn't even plan it that way because I was like, okay, we're gonna sort of take it easy on this one. We're not gonna do this vacation, you know, because we're very.
Yeah, I don't know you to be a person who takes it easy on
No,
vacation.
no, and wasn't this time either. Even though I planned it, I was gonna. I was like, okay, we're gonna go
Yeah.
easy this time. It was just it was constant, you know, and we'd be up all hours. The nice thing was, so the nice thing about this, and I don't know if this is maybe this is the thing about cruises, maybe this is the thing about theme cruises where people have things in common, but um, everybody's very friendly on this thing, which is nice, and
That's
maybe that's a
great.
cruise culture thing. I don't know. Maybe it's a Star Trek thing. I don't know. But you know, so we even like I think we're in the same boat here where we're two people who think of ourselves as really shy. But then we're also ultimately, when it comes down to it, I think if people objectively from the outside would be like, "Oh, they're you guys are perfectly fine in social situations," you know, like I don't think we're nearly
Yeah.
as awkward and horrifying as we maybe think we are.
Yeah, I think you're right because I know I paint myself as, like, some weird hermit who hates
Mhm.
people. That's not true. I mean, you can find me out somewhere making 9 new friends, having a beer,
Right.
you know? So I know just what you mean about we think that we're horrible and skittering into a corner where really we're like, "Hey, everybody,
Yeah.
how are you
Yeah.
doing?"
Trying to bring people into the conversation. Yeah. But I still go into these
Yeah.
things like, okay, I guess we're probably not going to make any friends. It's just going to be Mike and I are going to hang out for a week, and that's going to be fine. We're just going to be off in a corner, you know. And forgetting too that Mike is also like as much as I feel like a weirdo who's also uh, objectively better at interacting with people than I sometimes think I am. Mike is like always 100% fine interacting with people, you know.
Yeah, I would say whereas you and I think we're not good at interacting with people, but are, I feel like Mike likes interacting with
Mhm.
people and knows that
Yeah.
about himself.
So we you know we made friends right away. So the interest so here's an interesting thing about this. If any of this has been interesting yet, I'm not sure. But anyway, my
Oh, it's
vacation, I don't
fascinating to me.
care.
Yeah, that's our show, so I wanna hear
um
about it, so keep
so the
going.
thing about the first cruise was it was and the thing that made me kind of feel like okay, that was fun. I don't need to do that again was it was very white. It was
Okay.
overwhelmingly white. It was middle aged, which is fine. I mean, that's sort of neither here nor there. It was very middle aged and a little bit older. And then, you know, it was very, at least in terms of what you could see or detect or interact with, it was very straight. To the point
Mm.
where I had a couple interactions that were a little weird, like where people were a little weird about gay stuff. Like we're a little like I a woman tried to give me a lecture about being tolerant of straight people who don't like gay
I
people, and it was a whole
yeah.
and like It was not something I let
Is
go.
this
Like
also
Mike had to like pull me away basically because
Yeah. And did you also have a straight woman try to tell you that homophobia
yeah,
didn't
this was I think the
exist?
same one. I think the same one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
okay, sure. Yeah, 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 yeah. I remember that being, not a great time.
That particular instance, and most people were lovely. So it's not like that's I don't want to make that sound like that was the whole crew.
Sure, but that sticks in your
And I wondered
head.
with this one because with the newer Star Trek shows, which weren't yet out, I think they were just like going to be out. Particularly with like Discovery. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, it's at it's more than I think characters and actors. It's more than 50% queer. Like I think well more than 50% queer. I think it's like 3/4 queer in terms of like characters and
Yeah,
actors. And a lot of the
is that the one you were telling me where there's, like, only one character who's a
right,
cishet white dude?
yeah, basically, and it makes people so
Okay.
angry.
Yeah.
And a lot of those
I love it.
people. I mean, several of those people were on this cruise, and I was sort of wondering about that. I was like, I had a hypothesis that I was basing on nothing except a little bit you could see in social media that like the newer Star Trek shows would sort of bring in a little, maybe a little better quality of Trekkie, right? Like some of the people who liked Star Trek from before had maybe gotten a little hidebound, I guess, or a little like, that thing of like, oh, well, it's okay if there's, as long as you have one Asian and one black lady, but if they're not in charge, that's okay. That kind of thing.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, so
Yeah.
the fact that you've got shows with multiple queer people and a lot more diversity than really there's ever been, I was just like, oh, okay, we'll see how this is. And it was really interesting because still overwhelmingly white, right? Which is not to say like 100% white, but overwhelmingly
Mhm.
white. And a lot of the same type people. I'm going to pause this for 1 second because I have to turn off the oven. Hold on.
Yes, I
Yeah,
hear that.
so still overwhelmingly white, which is maybe just a cruise
Mhm.
thing. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the
Yeah, I don't
demographics
know.
of like black Star Trek fans are. Or I don't know what those demographics are. But like so there were a lot of the same like literally the same people. I mean, there are people who do this thing every year. So there were literally people that even if I didn't remember them, like we sort of
Mhm.
there were people that we were like, oh, I sort of remember seeing that person, 5-6 years ago. So there were a lot of the same a
Wow.
lot of the same people, but then it was like 50% gay. and by
Wow, oh, that's
and I would
great.
say queer, but I mean like I saw a lot of like gay men, like specifically.
Mhm.
We were running into a lot of that. And I mean I say 50%, that's my perception. I'm sure it's not quite that, but it was like so many gay people. And it was really nice to see. I mean, to the point where it was like, although it was interesting because Mike and I were sort of trying to figure it out, and we were like, okay, so among the straight people on this cruise, we're definitely on the younger end of that curve.
Mhm.
But then like if you put us with the gay people, we're like definitely toward the middle or the older end. um there were so many gay people, it was almost like there were cliques. I mean, it was interesting, like it was really fascinating. And there were even like, have you seen like the puppy guys? Like the
Yeah,
thing with you wear the
I
mask and it's a thing. I don't want to say it's a
yeah, yeah, I'm
okay.
aware of what you mean.
There were like a group of like puppy guys, just like wearing who just
Wow.
wore their puppy masks all all day. All it was like, okay,
Yeah.
I mean, so it was that like it was there was that was a huge difference. That was a huge difference. It was nice, and it was nice to I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say like, we were sort of joking with another guy. They were like, it's fine that we were talking about the same topic. We were like, it's fine that there were straight people before, and it's okay that there are straight people here. I guess they've made that choice, but it is nice. Again, still overwhelmingly white, still very white,
Mhm.
And I don't know, again, maybe that's just cruises, maybe that's, I don't know. But it was nice to see at least one level of diversity that was a lot more. And again,
Yeah.
I mean, there were so many people from the newer shows that are queer people. I mean, even in the interactions, like the stage things, or when people would be doing things together, you're like, oh, this is like 4 out of 5 people on stage are queer. Um,
Mhm.
so you'd almost have to be a little bit, I guess, like you'd almost have to be either comfortable with that or you don't have to be.
Right.
I guess you don't have to be gay yourself to go see gay people, but you know,
No, but you have to probably at least not be like that lady
oh
who
my
is
gosh,
trying to
yeah,
lecture you
yeah,
on gay things. She probably might not like to watch a show that's like 4 out of 5 of the people up on stage are
right,
queer people.
right. So I mean, just to see so many people openly, just very openly gay. Did not get that on the last one. Yeah,
I
I
love
loved it
it.
too. It was nice to see. It was a good feel. It was a better feeling.
Yes,
It was a better
absolutely.
vibe. And like I said, even there were some
Yeah.
like young hot gay guys who were like, we're sort of snotty about being gay. We're gonna look like. I mean, there was some of that too, but even that was fine. Like it was like, okay, well that's fine. You'll get old soon. Don't worry. You'll be old soon enough.
Oh, I know that you and Mike were still the best looking couple
Most
there.
likely. Although my hair was
Yeah. No, I saw
Although my
pictures.
hair was a challenge the whole time. As soon as I got into like I think as soon as I
Oh,
got into the
no.
sunlight, like nothing I've ever done for my hair in my life was working. And just every day was a nonstop challenge. I mean, I was almost crying at points, like just trying to like get my hair
Oh,
into some sort of shape.
no.
It was the weirdest thing, but other than that, it was fine.
I wonder, I guess that ocean air. Wait, where did this cruise
It
go?
was it was
In
it
what
was
waters?
Caribbean-y, so we went and we did like get
Wow.
off at the islands, but it's so they're so
Yeah?
touristy. Um
Right.
the areas
I
where
guess I've heard. I've
I
never
mean, they
been.
pull into like touristy areas, and then you have sort of
Of
even
course.
if you have like many hours, you still are sort of, I mean, at least for me, it's sort of like, oh, well, I don't want to go too far because if I don't make it back or if I get stuck somewhere, then I've got to like fly home. But we
Ugh.
went to Saint Martin or Saint Martin and Saint Thomas and then Nassau, which
I believe that's San
Saint Thomas,
Thomas.
which we had been to Nassau on the last one, so we got out and walked around Saint Martin. We took like a bus
Wow.
tour. I mean, it was like a literally like get on a bus and we'll ride around and point to things. But it was sort of like a
Fun.
quick way to see the town. And there's a famous beach there, which we sort of knew about before and didn't realize it was the same island until closer to going, but where the airport is like right behind the beach. So there's like a tiny strip of there's a tiny strip of beach and then it's the airport. So it's sort of famous because the planes are like you're on the beach and the planes are like flying right over your head basically. So we did get to
Oh,
go there and we did get to, but there was a little plane. I guess like the big like commercial planes weren't going around at that time. But I mean, it was sort of like a semi-famous thing that we got to do. So that was fun. But
neat.
yeah, it was
Oh, that sounds
mostly being
cool.
drunk and going to the
Yeah. Being drunk, doing Trekkie things, wearing cool
yeah,
outfits.
going to the unlimited froyo stand by the pool.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, how was the
It was
food?
fine. Like I don't know, we don't go to, they have like, so they have there's like a buffet place that's like the main, you can sort of go to it almost any time.
Mhm.
And then there's a more of a restaurant, but you can go to it like, meal times, and it's a sit down, it's included, you've paid for it, but it's a sit down and you can choose from a few things on the
Mhm.
menu. Um, again, being a vegetarian, it's sort of the options for that are
Right.
limited. The buffet had a lot more options, so that's what we wound up doing. And they have like specialty restaurants too, that are like more. This is a restaurant, but I don't eat meat. Mike doesn't like fish, so like there was like a hibachi place, but to spend the extra money to go to a place where like I'm not going to eat anything meat and Mike's not going to eat anything fish and we're just
Mhm.
so and they were all like they're all like, oh, it's a fancy steak restaurant or whatever, and it's like, okay, we're not going to spend a lot of money so I can go and have a
Yeah,
salad or whatever. So for the most part we just ate
right.
the free included food, which is perfectly fine. It's, it's not
All
spectacular,
right.
perfectly fine.
Okay. Because one of the things I've always heard about cruises is, oh, the food.
I guess. I mean, maybe if you go to the restaurants, it's fine. And again, I
Okay.
for the
All right.
main for the like included, you've paid for this restaurant, you can pick out things. We didn't go that often because for me, the only option would ever be like a pasta dish. And I was like, okay, I don't want
Yep.
pasta. I don't really want pasta
All
again.
right. So I'm starting to think with cruises, the food is like when people say
I
that for
think so.
weddings. Because I'll tell you, food is not generally great at
I think
weddings.
so. And I think that,
Okay.
yes, I think that is a very apt comparison. I think that when people go,
Okay.
the food, they're the same people who think the food was great at a wedding. Yes,
Okay.
I would think that's
Okay,
absolutely
great.
true.
So now, just now it is dawning on me, maybe when people say, "Oh, the food," they just mean there's a lot of
Right.
it.
There is a lot of it. And
Like,
you
not that it's good, there's just a lot.
and you have to work hard not to be drunk. So, that might skew your perception as well. You have to put in
That
some
sounds
effort to not be
wonderful.
a little drunk.
Do you think you'll go next year?
No, so we sort of talked about it just because we were like, oh, we're having fun, but I mean, the way, like a couple of friends that we met, they're two gay gentlemen, of course, but they're not a couple. They each have their own things, but they go to the one guy's husband, I guess, isn't into it, so they go together. They get like an inside room.
Mhm.
They get sort of the I don't want to say, I mean, cheapest makes it sound, but I think it's like the cheapest room, and they're not a family, so they're splitting the cost. I mean, you pay individually, but you're
Right.
not, it's not one family paying for the whole thing. So,
Right. Yep.
so I think like it's very reasonable at that level for us to go. So
Right.
we got like, we like to have a balcony, we got a balcony, and we could do something like that, but we got like a
Wow.
balcony. We got a junior suite basically. Um,
Wow, wow,
um,
wow.
so, so we
Wow.
paid a fair bit of money for this. And, um, so at this point, and if you book while you're on board, like you get a discount for being a returning thing, which I think we just would always get now since we went on the first one. But you get an extra discount if you book on board. That's significant. It's like $1,000 off a piece or something like that.
Wow.
And we
Whoa,
didn't do
yeah.
that. So now the fact that we didn't do that and decided not to do that, we're probably not going to change our mind at this point and be like, oh, we blew
I
that
get it.
discount. Let's just pay an extra, $1,000 or whatever.
I get
So,
it.
but I think we would go
Uh-huh.
again, but we would probably not go next year. And again, if we were,
Oh,
there are cheaper ways to do it, but it's not, I gather, and again, this is the only cruise I've been on. I gather this is a little more expensive than a normal cruise, and it's probably worth it because it's got more stuff. I
okay.
mean, I think you get all the basic stuff that you'd get with a normal cruise, and then extra on top of that because they do all the stuff.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I would do it again. We're not doing it next year unless we win the lottery and get really bored. I don't know, but it would be very hard for me at this point to be like, oh, let's go next year now that we completely turned down that giant discount we could have gotten. So
All right. Well, let me know where you and I can plan a vacation, and then we'll get like some little room and we'll split the
maybe we'll
cost
go
and
to
everything.
maybe
So I
we'll
want
go
to
to
go
Saint
somewhere.
Martin,
That sounds
doesn't it?
fantastic. Space Cadets, you've been listening to The Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO LP Rochester. Coming up next is more fantastic WAYO programming, so stay tuned. Okay. So do you have one or two Women's History Month queens on your list who aren't pop
I
icons?
mean, naturally, there's like Robin, Dusty Springfield, Diana Ross.
All pop icons.
Well, I mean, technically, Diana Ross is more about like R&B and soul, So,
Ah, let me share some other names
ooh,
with you.
Cher, that's another good one. Why did I think of that? Definitely Cher. You don't
You're
disagree.
impossible.